Hello everyone, welcome to Cerebral Arcade. I'm Stacy. Today we are going to be continuing Cinders. And we've kind of gotten to an interesting point in the story where I think we're just about to head off to the ball in a fabulous new dress. So I'm pretty excited to see how all of that goes down today. Hello, DJ. Welcome. And Jeffrey, good to see you both. How are y'all doing on this wonderful Sunday? I'm definitely like a little bit lower energy today. I think I might be fighting something off, so I'm definitely a little bit more chill today. A little bit lower energy maybe than I was on Friday. We're gonna escape this provincial town. We're gonna try. Oh, hello. Yes, I'm talking, not paying attention to you. Pharaoh wants to say hello to stream. Okay, off. Biostats, hello, welcome. Good to see you. Good, how's the forehead? Oh my gosh, she really clocked me. She got me really good. It's still pretty sore. Like, she hit me kind of right here. There's a big lump. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it on stream because it's probably kind of covered with makeup, but yeah, it was pretty intense. She hit me with like a big solid bone. So yeah. I was not so happy with her on Friday, and it was sad too. She knew she like messed up and sort of immediately came over and was licking and everything. Like, she clearly didn't mean to, but yeah, really clocked me. Yeah, I'm glad I'm okay too. Yeah, she had this big like bone that has stuff on the inside, but the outside is like really hard, heavy bone, and she's, flinging it around like a puppy. And yeah, I was laying on the couch and she just flung it and it hit me straight in the face. So yeah, definitely was a thing. Oh, thank you, NBA Dag. Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, it hurt a bit. Definitely did. It's not the worst she's hurt me. I think it's probably the second worst she's hurt me. The first time, I kind of did it to myself, honestly. She loves playing tug, and it's how we do a lot of her training. And so I was playing tug with like this big rope, like gigantic fat like ship rope, and so it's like this big around, and the knots on it are really intense. So we were playing, and I gave kind of like an ambiguous command that she interpreted to mean like drop it. So she, like, I'm pulling on it and she dropped it immediately, and it like flew up and hit me like right in the nose. I thought it broke my nose. It did not. But yeah, that was like the worst one, because that was like a several days of recovery sort of situation. This will probably be better by like tomorrow or the next day. It's still a little tender, but anyway, yeah, puppy life, it's good. I posted a picture on my personal Instagram of yeah, she just recently turned 9 months old, so did like a little side by side of, when we got her, she was 9 weeks, and then this week at 9 months. So I love her. She's my baby, but yeah, some stuff sometimes. Anyway, I am really excited to dive into Cinders, so I think we'll just go ahead and get started and let this diva join us if she wants to for a little bit of attention. Yeah, I wish I could show you guys the face that she's making here. Yeah, can't quite see it, but yeah, she's just like staring at me like I've never paid her attention in my life. If she gets too rowdy, then might need to go put her away, but we'll see. Okay, how far are we into the game? We are, I think, I've said this for the last 2 streams, but I think we don't actually have very much more. We have, she does feel bad. She does. Though I don't know, she has a big goofy smile on her face right this second, so we'll see. She mostly, I think, because I'm talking to my computer, just is a little like, what are you doing? Why aren't you interfacing with me? You seem to be paying attention to something. So we just got to the point where we got to basically select our fairy godmother, and we selected the voodoo witch in the town. Madame Guide and came to her, and she basically was like, yo, I'll hook you up with an invite to the palace, to the ball, and a cool dress that I used to wear. So we'll see how that goes. And so I think we're getting ready to try on our new dress and head to the ball. So we'll see what we've got to do before that. But I'm kind of curious. We've so far kind of turned away most of the love interests. So I feel like we're going to get some payoffs for that maybe at this point. And I'm curious also, we've been kind of angling to have a relationship, particularly with one of our sisters. And I'm also curious to see if there's going to be any consequence from that at the ball as well. NBA Dag says, I'm cooking dinner, but I had to come see how this ends. I'm in too deep. Oh, I'm glad you're invested, NBA Dag. I weirdly am too. Like, I got pretty invested in this. The game has kind of hinted that it's gonna basically, after the ball, we're gonna have an opportunity to just like run away from our life. So I'm pretty like jazzed about that. Decaf Jedi, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm not sure if you just caught that big recap we just did, but we're about to, I think, get a cool dress from our chosen fairy godmother and head off to the ball to see how things go. Okay, I think we actually saved the game this time. So we're not in danger of like overwriting anything terribly. Okay, yeah, and I think we tried to save it at this point where it's about to just give us like an exposition dump recap. So we'll dive into that. Cinders says, I was honestly afraid I wouldn't be able to get back on time, or worse, stumble upon them on the way home. Nobody should have to come home hoping to find all the people gone, praying to be left alone. Fortunately, with some luck, it's the last time I feel like this. Tomorrow, everything's gonna change, one way or another. Okay, so yes, Madame Guide promised that if we want to escape our life of servitude here under our evil stepmother, that she was gonna help us basically run away. So I really hope the game actually like holds to that promise and we can just sort of like run off into the sunset with zero romantic interests, because I am not feeling any of these guys. Okay, Cinder says, I'm gonna miss this house. Its walls hold many memories very dear to me. Mother's smile, father's stories. It's funny, I hate Carmosa, but deep inside, I hope she's going to be successful with her plans. I want to believe this place won't fall apart after I'm gone. I wonder what I'm replacing this life with. It might be a dream come true. It might also be a nightmare, but all I've got to lose are memories. Although I think I'm going to miss my sisters. Who would have thought? After all, we're all creatures of habit. It's like throwing away shoes that chafed, but we're very familiar. One would hesitate, right? It wasn't always easy, but I've grown attached to them somehow. I hope they'll be fine. All right, enough of this. I need to go into my room and stay there as usual. When Carmosa comes back, I need to look like nothing's going on. Okay, the prince. The garden looks odd in this pale moonlight. Everything is set for the ball, but there's no living soul here except me. It all seems so unreal. Just a few hours ago, it was full of servants, carefully setting every little piece of decoration. Now it's deserted as the preparations come to an end. I feel like the prince has been really under-characterized so far. Like, if you asked me to attach an adjective to this character, I don't think I could pull one out. Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe dutiful? Like, maybe, but he's kind of undermining plans from his father, so like, yeah, I don't know. I really just don't have a sense for this character at all. Only the wind does not hesitate to run freely and ruffle everything. I have to say, it feels unusual tonight, like a charge about to go off during the storm. This tension in the air almost feels tangible. Our court jester used to greet people. May you live in boring times. This feels like the grim opposite. Okay. Almost like an omen of things to come. I feel like they're laying this on really thick. A sign of a storm closing in. Interesting times. We had probably, like 4 metaphors there of, like, bad omens and things about to come. I wonder whether this has any chance of success. Can I commit to change to make it happen? Is it even possible? I've read the philosophers, but never seen it come true. Books and idealistic theories are one thing, but people tend to resist change, even change for the better. Father didn't make it any easier for me either. He was a good ruler, and he's remembered very fondly. Anything I'll do will be seen as betraying his legacy. So, like, this is such a weird scene because, yeah, it's that thing, right, of, like, I feel like, especially being used to coming from beat writing, where each beat is sort of trying to communicate something particular or, like, change a value, so to speak, of, like, maybe it's increasing tension, maybe it's revealing something about this character, but it's, like, changing something in the audience's mind each time. And I feel like we've just had, like, line after line after line after line that has not actually communicated very much, other than there's a general sense of foreboding. And, yeah, I don't know, I guess the prince has some doubts. It's kind of like, okay, that could have been communicated in literally 2 beats. Like, we didn't need 8 lines of text for that. So yeah, it feels like a storm is coming indeed. Even if I succeed, history may remember me as a renegade. There's some evidence. And will any women stand by me through this? Is the ball the best way to look for such a person? In the absence of better ideas or better judgment, I have made my decision, the best I could. Now all there is to do is see things through and hope. The weather tonight really doesn't feel right. And the dogs in the kennels. I had a moment where I was like, is that my dog? No, she's sleeping next to me. How the dogs in the kennels act as possessed. I should get back to the palace. Let's hope for an interesting ball night and boring times. So he seems ditzy. Yeah, he does biostats. He doesn't have a lot going on, for sure. Classic himbo prince. All right, Sophia. I'm glad I could finally take off that damn dress. It's badly done, badly cut, tight as hell. It looks ridiculous. No corrections are gonna change it. I feel like Sophia's gotten a bit more character voice, though, as this has gone on. That little old man called himself a tailor. What a joke. I bet I could do a better job sewing a suit for him. Oh, I'd trim his waist good, cut his trousers tight in all the right places. The little fellow would be even smaller by the time I was done. This whole situation is stupid. No matter how tight and tasteless our dresses are, they won't make any of us a princess. Gloria, weren't you supposed to be in the garden? I was, but the weather turned bad so suddenly. I've never seen the weather change so quickly. She looks so sad about it. Oh, my big mature sister got all spooked by a big bad cloud. Don't be ridiculous, Sophia. I'm not in the mood for this. Biostat says, I would say poor women in this game, but it probably reflects reality more than we would want. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you would like to get all soaked in the rain and look miserable, but I surely don't. Well, I don't see a single drop of rain outside. Neither can I. Strange. I swear I could see flashes between the clouds. Are you practicing talking about the weather before the ball? Because it's not working. You're still boring. No, but I can see you're already sharpening your tongue. The prince will surely appreciate your wits. And how is your dress, Sophia? By all things held dear and holy by all the native people in this world, I swear, if you ask me this question one more time, you'll feel my pain. The reason I repeated the question so many times today was in hope that it would stretch a little over time. Oh, well, it didn't stretch an inch. The tailor did a good job there. When I wear it, I feel like a properly packaged piece of pork. Wow, that alliteration. Why didn't you tell Mother then, when we were at the tailor's? He could have applied further corrections. Because her loving motherly eyes told me one more complaint and you're dead, girl. Your choice of words is poor as usual, but I agree with your sentiment. Mine is still much too tight as well. If you had a line, I know. I always found it astonishing how my pain tends to trigger such immediate joy in your little black heart. No, it's not like that. I mean, you're right about the joy part, but something else made me laugh. Do tell me. I'm sure it's going to be utterly enlightening. Well, tell me, aren't these dresses a wonderful metaphor for our lives? I fail to see it, I'm afraid. Oh, please explain it to us, game. We're trying to fit into clothes which someone else made for us this whole time, or rather for the image they're trying in someone else's head. I bet they're a perfect fit for those phantasms inside Mother's mind, disciplined and pretty as dolls. Stop it. Your bitterness is getting tiring. And stop being so childish. It's only a dress. A lady must learn how to walk, talk, and smile, even if the corset is a bit tight. You know that Mother is only trying to teach us how to behave properly in society. She had to endure far more than a tight dress to get us where we are now. Oh yes, the sacrifices she makes to make us shining during the grand ball. That could have used an edit pass. Your cynicism gives you a little credit. You know very well this is important to her. Perhaps it is. But tell me this, sister, is it important for us? Ooh. Finally, the day is over. Oh, poor Carmosa, looking so sad. Both dresses fit, everything's in place, and even that incompetent tailor agreed to lower the price. For all things considered, it went better than expected. It's a shame the girls don't seem to realize how important this is for them. Nor do they appreciate how much effort it takes to prepare two young ladies to make their debut in court, especially if nobody cared to invite them. They're not even aware of what that means for women their age. By noble standards, they're getting old and must be introduced soon if they're ever to find a husband. And without a husband, they may as well lock themselves in this house and wait for old age to come to relieve them of their miserable lives. I hope they'll grow up soon and open those naive eyes to the way the world works around them. Yeah, I really hope that this is all setting up a situation for, like, us to live our life in contrast to this. It's either that or they'll end up alone in some dark and empty room, forgotten and hated by everyone. Thank heavens for the night. If nothing else, it's easier to hide oneself in the dark from the gaze of others. If no one wants to see it, it isn't happening. That's the way people work. And I learned that lesson the hard way. Is that a storm coming over the horizon? It's one of those strange cold ones, without rain. I think I remember a storm like this many years ago. That night when she died. ... It's no good to think about things like that before I go to sleep. It's late, and the weather's turning bad. What do we think that line means? Like, did she know Cinderella's mother, do we think? Or maybe she killed her? Is that what it's implying? Or maybe she had another person close to her who died? That was a good moment, though. Sort of like raising a question late in the story. Thank goodness it's done already. I haven't slept for the entirety of the night. How could I? I feel like there's a dozen especially vicious poisonous butterflies having a grand ball of their own in my stomach. Okay. Poisonous butterflies. That's a good one, Cinders. Lack of sleep will surely make you very eloquent this evening. Foreboding that somebody's going to die tonight? I think that might be what it's implying. Still, if things do go according to the plan, this has just been my last night spent as a slave in my own house. Yeah, Jeffrey, I wonder too if, because it did imply we would have the option to kill Carmosa, but then we sort of opted out of procuring poison to make that work. So, yeah, I do wonder if maybe that's a line that makes further sense in that context. I can hear Carmosa's voice. Is she mustering the girls again? Her private little army of two. Well, whatever training she gives them, nothing will prepare them for this evening. Oh my, won't they be surprised? As will be Carmosa. The all-powerful, all-knowing lady will be caught at a loss tonight. I think I should sneak out right after they leave the house if I'm to get the dress before it all starts. So hurry up, girls. All right, Smolders. 6 additional guards in the main hall. That makes 65, and 2 dressed up as guests following the prince discreetly. If you did kill her, is Mr. Valtinark the one to try to solve the case? That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think we've like totally opted out of that, so I'm not sure if we'll get to see, but maybe we can look it up later. At least that much good has come from the masks everyone will be wearing. Guards can be disguised and mixed in the crowd. Of course, every assassin, vagabond, or other villain opposing rule of the prince will be dressed as guests as well. This is going to be a long night. The security is quite tight, but during a masked ball, the chance of an unwanted person squeezing in is far too high for my liking. I guess I'll just have to follow the prince closely. Contrary to what His Highness believes, I think a proper guard presence is needed at this event. Hashtag easy win. Is the easy win because Belty Narc is going to let us off the case, or because we are going to, or do you mean in reference to the poison? On the other hand, I'm being let go, so why do I care? Yeah, why do you care? Look at his sad face, too. Aww. The prince has determined that this is the age of politics and plots, not war. Information instead of steel. I wonder how well that will work. Somehow, I don't think people change that quickly or willingly. Someone assaults the future king with a hidden blade, but then suddenly the ruler yells, "What's the capital of the lands of the mist?" Well, and the attacker folds. All right, a little bit of comedy in the writing. But fair enough. I've decided not to adapt, so I'm staying behind. And with my inadequate methods, I shall protect the prince one last time. Then, come what may. My attachment to the code, to honor, and to the crown is also a thing of the past. Inadequate. To the poison, he wouldn't be smart enough. Yeah. I know it's a mask ball, but you can have people wait to put on masks until after they're in. Yeah, you know, biostats, that is a really good point. Sigh, let me just check the windows and fences one more time. With a dopey little grin, he's so excited. Well, well, look who finally got out of Carmosa's reach and managed to come. Bards call it cutting words, which reduces the attack roll. I'm so sorry. The sisters kept calling me and wrinkled their nose and demanding adjustments to everything. Their hairdos, the way their shawls are draped and dresses pressed. And now it's so late, I won't make it in time. How could I have missed my chance? They didn't even notice, but they ruined. Calm down, girl, you'll be fine. But it's so late and the ball has almost started already and you're just nervous, and that's fine. There's a big night ahead of you, but trust me, you'll get your chance to dazzle everyone. You're right. Maybe I'm panicking a bit. Good thing you didn't see me when I was running over here like crazy. I like Geed. I like Geed too. As this has gone on, I've liked Cinders less and less. I'm really not finding her to be a very sympathetic character, but I really love Geed just being like, please shut up. Why do we care about the ball again? I thought we just wanted to run away. Yeah, it's a great question, Jeffrey. As I recall, I think the plan was loosely to slip out just after the ball, but it's not entirely clear to me why we need to go to the ball in order to make that happen. So, I don't know. I think it's, you know, just one of those, like, gloss over the narrative here because content needed to happen kind of situations. Actually, if you want to make an entrance, cause a stir, and get envious looks, you ought to come fashionably late. That way you'll be noticed from the start. Plot reasons question? Good point, but I guess it's understandable I'm nervous like that. I think every girl your age has a right to flaunt her emotions to the world every once in a while, but thank the spirits it hasn't come to that. Yes, thank you. So, what do we do? Let's start with the dress. I can't go to the ball without one. I'm glad we agree. I mean, technically you could go without one. You'd definitely get everyone's attention then, but somehow I think that's not what you had in mind. I'd prefer not to if you don't mind. May I see it? The dress is prepared for you along with everything else in the wardrobe. That's the room on the left there. I'll wait here. Just let me get the lights. Oh my, this is raunchy. Almost explicit, I would say. Oh my. Yeah, I feel like the convo went something like, I want to run away. Okay, I can help you do that after you go to the ball. Okay, yeah, send me a dag. That is exactly my recollection as well. All right. Didn't you want to be noticed? This dress should help a lot. Try it on. Oh my gosh. All right, what do we think this dress is gonna look like? I mean, like, Sophia's dress definitely had some cleavage. It's amazing. It fits like a glove. Thank you. Told you. And you're welcome. The shoes are a bit too small, though. And they have a stiff high heel. Dancing in these will be a challenge. You'll manage. This kind of beauty is not achieved through comfort. It's usually bought with a little bit of pain. Girl, tell me about it. In any case, it's just for one night, so simply grin and bear it. You should hurry now. I didn't mean to be ungrateful. The whole outfit looks wonderful, but how will I get inside? I actually kind of like that they're sort of building suspense around how it's gonna look. This is actually really well done. One of the cooks agreed to let you in. I cured his wife last winter, so he has a debt to pay. He'll sneak you in safely. Great, thank you. Is there anything else I should know before I go? After the ball, you should head back to the residence. I'll send someone trustworthy to pick you up. Just remember not to get caught up in the moment and stay till dawn. That feels important. So we should leave the ball as quickly as the game will let us. I'm definitely on board with this. Okay. All right, I will. Anything else? Just enjoy this. Relish the moment. I believe we make our own fate, so good luck. Make the best of it. Okay. Sorry, you got auto-modded for using the word fools. I feel like Geed is saying, I ain't got time for fools who don't know what time it is. That's 100% true. Thank you. You have done something truly amazing for me. I won't forget it. Enjoy the moment, but not too much. That's right. Ooh, this is creepy. What a cool effect. That's really well done. How did I not see this before? They're so used to wearing masks all the time. Today's dress code changes nothing. All it did is bring out their mastery in masquerading. So here's the thing. When you're writing dialogue, I feel it's really helpful to read it out loud. This is why at like larger studios I've worked at, they do table reads and stuff, because just even on a first pass, reading dialogue out loud, you catch when people are speaking in a way that people don't normally speak. And there's wiggle room in that, right? Like the way that characters speak in Lord of the Rings, for example, is going to be really different from the way they speak in a teen drama. But either way, there are just certain like turns of phrase that are a mouthful. And so like, yeah, again, like definitely I feel like this game needed an edit pass at all levels. And one of them is just the murder your darlings. Like there's too many words. They needed to cut them to bring forward the salient ones. But also, yeah, character voices has been a little bit rough during this. Okay. Palette swap is greater than Normie Prince. Isn't this what you have chosen to support, sire? The monarchy is the one to set the tone for his country. Didn't you want the land to become a political arena? Politics instead of war? Yes. But this game of appearances disgusts me as much as it disgusts you. Right, the red is definitely sexier than the teal, definitely. I mean, he's got like a very Fire Nation vibe going on in this scene. So like, yeah, I can see that. Not Smolders, though. He has no time for fancy outfits. We wouldn't even know who he was without the belts. Politics for the sake of progress and people. That is what I think is best for the country, not this. But I know you don't condone this, do you? When the ways of our forefathers are changed, honor disregarded, and rules made gray and flexible, this is what happens. A world where the two-faced win. That's not entirely true. What should happen is that people will be given voice and empowered. It may have some disadvantages, but it's still the future. Maybe it is, but I don't trust people that much. If you want honesty and righteousness, you need black and white rules to set a stable set of values behind them. Aw, sad Smolders, I know. He's definitely got a pout. He does. He does. But we need a land of prosperity, too. And I don't mean material prosperity alone. I want a land of as much joy as is reasonably possible in my realm. It's a worthy goal, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. I do understand your reluctance to practice politics, however, and I appreciate your honesty. You have the right to be doubtful. Curiously enough, to set people free, you need some level of deceit, hypocrisy, and gossip. I'm not sure that's true, but all right. If you say so, sire. See, it even rubbed off on you a little, my friend. But right now, I have to play along, deal with this lot, and choose a wife from among them. Frankly, I don't see any good candidate on the horizon. What do you think I should do? I could use your advice on how to proceed. I wouldn't even begin to imagine how one might approach this situation. Please, just tell me what you think. I think that you are overthinking it, my lord. Maybe just try to blend in and go with the flow of things. So you're saying I should stop staying outside, observing and judging the women who came here? Maybe? I don't know. Well, that's not exactly what I said. Smolders is like, no, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You can go ahead and judge them. That's fine. But you're right. If I'm to learn the true natures of the ladies that are here, I need to give them a chance. Like, these two are so obviously ship bait. I feel like we really could have gotten a little bit more ship hooks going on. Like, I've said this before. I really feel like we could have gotten that. Stop judging women preposterous. I know. Ridiculous. So for now, I'm going to stop judging and reach out. Thank you, friend. See, and that could have been like, thank you. You mean so much to me. And that would have been wonderful. But that's why I threw this ball. Jeffrey and NBA Dag, I feel like between the two of you, like, the two of you could come together and make this scene what it should have been, and it would have been fantastic. All right, Lady Carmosa. This is a chance to rise up in the world. Each of you can become so much more than impoverished nobility. You'd be royalty. You do want that, don't you? I really am not so certain. Of course we do. This isn't the attitude that will win you a better life. If you don't commit to it and ignore the rest, you'll lose. Epic fanfic, yeah. We are committed, we really are. It's just not easy, Mother, but we'll try. Yeah, exactly, Biostats. You do want my dream, don't you? Yeah. My dear Gloria, nothing in this world is worth striving for is easy. You need to fight for a better life, endure hardships, discomfort, sacrifices. This is your chance. If you play it right, you won't have to worry about any of those ever again. Do you understand what it means? Now smarten yourself up, girls. Do something about that cringe, Sophia. And you, Gloria, adjust that coiffure. Good. Okay, so they do have some rad jewelry going on. The masks are on point. I think of these three Jesses, I think I like Gloria's, but it's a bit low cut. But I like Sophia with the straight, like with her hair down. That's a good look for her. But what for? Not that I can't endure pain and hardships, Mother. You've made sure we both can, but what's the purpose? He won't choose us anyhow. Now. You have to do this if you want to survive and go up. If you commit and do your best, you do have a chance. What did you think? That ending up with someone? Some smaller nobility or a soldier is an option for my daughters? Only idiots aim low. So we do everything we talked about yesterday, and we'll try to charm the prince. I'm not sure I can do that, but I'll try. I didn't raise you two to be unable to gain influence over a single man. You're young, pretty, you're women. Use your wits and instincts. And if that fails you, Gloria, as we all know it will, you can always flaunt your cleavage. But wouldn't that come across as very unladylike? What would people think? Did they run out of necklaces for Sophia? So I think that's actually like a small visual detail to kind of communicate that Carmosa is really investing more in Gloria. But yeah, it's definitely noticeable. There are many ways to entice a man. Your beauty will help you in that, so do not be ashamed of it. Use it if necessary. These dresses cost me a fortune and more than a single white hair, but they should draw some stares. Did they see your dress? Too late, girl. I know, right? Now let's make sure you get the chance to use your feminine wiles. Each of you will go see the prince's attention, introduce herself, and get invited to dance. How do we get invited? Are we to invite the prince ourselves? Just hint at it subtly. Or heavily. But then remember about the cleavage. Shut up, Sophia. I'm trying to understand what to do as best I can. You never understood the idea, did you, sister? Quiet. There are more important things than bickering right now. Focus, you two. You both look astounding. I'm sure you'll do fine. You're my daughters, after all. Both just silent. Gloria, you go first, then Sophia. Remember, stand up straight and smile at all times. And when you dance, every other pirouette, brush against him accidentally. Pirouette? Good lord. All right. You're like full-on ballet dancing up in there. Good luck, sister. You're gonna need it, you know. Don't listen to her. Just go. Very well, so I'm keeping an open mind. Do you have any other advice? No. However, there's a pretty young lady standing over there gazing your way, my prince. Most of them are, as if there was some sort of contest with the kingdom and palace as the main prize. Well, there are many candidates gathered tonight for one event, and one of them will be chosen to become rich and influential. Like, yeah, you did sort of actually set this up as basically a contest, so... If not a contest with a kingdom as a prize, how would you describe it, my prince? Ha! Good point, my friend. All right, let's select a wise queen and a good companion for the years to come. That young lady looks absolutely astounding, and she has this dignified air about her. Please excuse me, friend. Good luck, my lord. All right, what do we think's gonna happen here? Good evening, mysterious beauty. How are you enjoying yourself? Thank you, Your Highness. The ball is amazing. Everyone's excited to be here, as am I. Please, stand up. Oh, I'm sure they are. Half of them because they're rooting for their hidden agenda to take effect tonight. But how can I blame them? But I'm certain every court member wishes both you and the land the best. Oh, please excuse my bluntness. But do you genuinely think this to be true? What was your impression when you talked to them? I haven't talked to many of the guests, Prince, but honestly, I believe they have the kingdom's interest at heart, even if it doesn't show. Fine. Have you tasted the food? Just fine. Dang. Got F-worded. Have you tasted the food? We've brought spices from the eastern lands specifically for this occasion. I'm sure it's excellent, my lord. It looks like pieces of art, and the smell is delicious. Are you sure? Those small sweet rolls are a particular pride of the cooks. They're called suffins, and baking them involves the help of an alchemist. That sounds fascinating, Your Highness. It is. That's why the taste is undescribable, neither sweet nor sour, salty or bitter, and unlike anything known to nature, alchemically magical. Have some. Thank you, Your Grace, but a lady should watch her figure. Surely a woman of your beauty doesn't need to worry about such things. You look as delicate as the morning breeze. You're too kind, Your Highness. Are you sure? Thank you, Your Highness. Maybe just a little bite. Oh, you don't need to call me Your Highness. I don't attach that much value to formalities. And after all, I'm not a king yet. Oh, I'm so sorry for the mistake, Your Highness. I didn't mean to imply. I'm truly sorry. I know, biostats. I was thinking that same thing. Not sweet, sour, salty, or bitter. So plain. Basically, zero taste. Have a roll. It has no flavor. That's nothing. Don't mention it. Oh, I won't mention it again, if that's what you mean. I'm sorry. It's fine. Just please relax. I get the feeling you're very tense. Can we just chat casually? Of course, my prince. What would you like to chat about? So interesting. This is apparently one that we're getting because of a decision we've made. Sigh, how do you like the music? The music is heavenly, my prince. You really think so? Why? We all love butterless rolls, Your Highness. It's the new vogue. It totally is. You really think so? Why? I don't know that much about music, but this seems like an excellent choice, my prince. Well, then maybe let's talk about things that interest you. Why don't you choose the topic? I do not know what you like and what interests you, Your Grace. Oh my, I did it again. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. It'll not happen again. Oh, don't bother. I mean, worry. Don't worry. Why did the prince not disguise himself? It's a great question, Jeffrey. I'm sorry. Your Highness isn't pleased. I didn't mean to upset you, my prince. I truly didn't. Somehow I wish you did. Will you please excuse me, my lady? All right, so far, the prince and Smolders get along a lot better than the prince and Gloria. This is going to be a long night. Yeah, the creepy ghost-like figures in the background of everything. I'm still really loving that as a visual touch. Gloria, you're back. So soon? Did the prince fail to meet your standards if you had to fend off all his attention and admiration? Did you just miss him and take your leave? No. You're awfully quiet. What happened then? I know. You used up all your eloquence on the prince? I'm sure he was really impressed. That's probably why he ran off so fast. He was too intimidated to stay in the presence of such perfection. I'm glad you gave me this opportunity to point out again how great an example you are for me. Please enlighten me as to what the key pillars to your... Will you shut up already? Enough. If there was ever a time when I expected you two to focus, this is it. Sophia, stop with these pointless remarks. Want to show your sister? Then go and prove you can do what she failed at. She's not Gloria of Van Morrison fame. I never said I could. I'm not sure whether... Oh, really? Not sure of yourself suddenly? Stop whining. Stand up straight. Keep your chest forward. Maybe for once your silly books will have their use. I heard the prince reads a lot. He does? What does he read? I don't know, and I don't care. Just try to use it to your advantage. If this doesn't work, you're not as pretty as your sister, so just flatter him a lot. You can do it. Right. I'm sure he's not used to that. Is there anything else you two would like to add to this conversation, Sophia? If not, then I suggest you go in and charm the prince. And what about Gloria? Your sister and I are going to have a little chat while you're gone. You concentrate on the prince. Be seductive. Go. Oh, I'll miss your pleasant chat with Mother, Gloria. And I was so hoping for a good show. Just go. Good evening, Your Grace. Oh, I do hope I use the right style. Good evening, my lady. It is one of the conventional titles used when addressing kings, so no, not really. At least not yet. Oops. Looks like I blew it already. I wouldn't worry about that. I never understood all those subtleties myself, nor cared for them, for that matter. I must be really lucky then, since I don't care so much for titles myself. Never seen the purpose. You do not? Quite a rare treat for a daughter of a noble house. And more importantly, a daughter full of a powerful and ambitious lady. Don't forget women with agendas, Your Highness. They tend to be pretty hard to overlook anyway. Oh, is that so? Oh, yes. Quite an overbearing character, that mother of ours. She even made us wear these dresses, you see. Have you ever worn a corset this tight, my prince? Oh, I would love to see Sophia and the prince get together. No, I never had the opportunity. Oh, neither had I until today, but it doesn't really matter, because we all have our roles to play and our tasks to fulfill. After all, a single night can change the fate of many. Whole families, great houses, dynasties, etc. Jeffrey. Has he? They're meant for each other, yes. I can see you're quite upset, my lady. I'm only the younger daughter, and my mother wasn't born into ladyship, so it's secondhand nobility you're speaking to. You don't have to lady me, my prince. All right, if you say so. So are you here because your mother asked you to come against your will? Yes, that's exactly why I'm here. Because I'm a good girl who's willing to play her part. In that case, would you believe it if I said the reason why I'm here is not that different from yours? I guess you could call it a family obligation? Yes. Although my oppressive parent is here in spirit alone, his legacy is omnipresent, his influence palpable. I thought the wine tasted funny. She's funny. Did he just silence that? Oh, no need to play that shocked look on me. If you're anything like me and your father was even slightly similar to my mother, a joke like that won't make you blink. You're right. Having spent all my life among people trained to keep up appearances, I picked up all the conventional reflexes. Like acting shocked when someone is making a joke about your dead parent, even though everyone knows he wasn't a good father, as he was a king. I feel lucky already. At least nobody ever forced me into a mold of politeness. I shudder at the thought of someone trying. Such a silly concept, this politeness, lying to each other in the name of good manners as if honesty was a vice. You're a very original young woman, you know that? Isn't original one of the categories physicians use when they lock you up in an asylum? Sophia is so much better. Technically, I think it's innovative. Oh, jeez. And I'm serious. I'm glad you're here. I'd love to get to know you better. The correct response here would be to say, thank you, Your Highness, and maybe blush a little bit, yes. Well, I'm not so good at blushing on demand. Don't get me wrong, my prince. You seem much nicer than I expected, but I didn't come here because I wanted to have a chat with you. I'm here because my mother has serious control issues and wants me to play a role she scripted for me, probably before I was even born. Not a very entertaining role, mind you. Sophia is so much better. She has 100% stolen this game. I completely agree about stats. As for my sister, well, all right. That's actually the pleasant part. I just wanted to show her that I can do it better without even trying. And I couldn't care less about ruling. Grown-ups sitting in ridiculous chairs, wearing funny hats made of metal. Frankly, it all seems really silly to me. I know, Sophia just laying it out there. Like, I love this girl now. Well, you've made your point quite clear. So what now? Now? If you were a normal man, I would gladly invite you to our residence, show you how lovely our family operates, get to know you better. But alas, you are not. Therefore, it's the perfect time to go back home and get this cursed thing off my waist. Whoever invented these must have been really innovative. Yeah, I'm also on Team Soph. So I'm like, I don't know, if we have to run off into the sunset with somebody, wouldn't be the worst for it to be Sophia, just saying. Good night. Have a ball and everything. I'm out of here. What the heavens? This ball is turning into a madhouse rather rapidly. Too bad, though. This one I started to like. All right, I'm almost there and all ready. Ooh, why do we have ominous music? Time to make my grand entrance. Oh, this is a really nice feature, just like giving us the opportunity to click on the palace. It's just like, it just adds like a little bit of agency and sense of place and presence. That was a really nice touch. Complete and utter disaster. You have no idea how much this will cost our family. You had a chance to secure the future for yourselves. And for your children and their children. You'll be very lucky to find a single man in the kingdom willing to court you after the display you gave tonight. Hi, Crane. Good to see you. What game is this? This is Cinders. It is a visual novel retelling of Cinderella. And so this is our stepmother and our two stepsisters. The two stepsisters kind of just struck out with the prince. The one on the left there is Sophia. She's the less less likable of the two, I would say. And she came in and just completely blew it with the prince. The younger one in the middle, Sophia, we love her and kind of want to ship her with Cinders. But she went in and she had kind of like a Daria vibe going on, and the prince was kind of into it, but she basically just pieced out. So now they're hearing about it from the stepmother. And for your children and their children, you'll be very lucky to find a single man in the kingdom willing to court you after the display you gave tonight. Cinders, that's very clever, yes. Good riddance. What did you say? Mother, look, there's some commotion in the ballroom. I think someone important has arrived. Indeed. Whoever that is, they can afford to be late, so I'm guessing it really has to be someone important. All right, I think we're gonna get to see the dress finally. Everyone has gone silent. What's going on? Okay. Definitely some cleavage. Definitely some cleavage. I like our hair down. It's looking really nice. I like the mask. I don't know, it's got like a Raven vibe to it. I'm kind of digging it. Definitely liking the sleeves. And yeah, the kind of feathery look. All right, I'm a fan. Yeah. And I get the impression too, since we got to choose our fairy godmother, I do kind of feel like if we'd gone with the fairies, we probably would have had a different dress, or at least like that's the promise the game has set up. So I would be really disappointed if that weren't true. The black spider thing on the top has got to go. It's okay for me. Like, it's a masquerade, so it just feels like a really extra sort of like accessory to it. Yeah, it's definitely not, it's like a very different silhouette than the other dresses from our sisters. The little sparkle VFX thing is a good moment. It does feel darker and more witch like. Yeah, I definitely also, it looks like a scorpion. Yeah, I guess I could kind of see that actually. But yeah, I'm liking it. It definitely does feel darker than I think I was expecting it to come out as, so that's pretty cool. Oh, and we got a trophy. Cool. Prince says that is a mighty fine dress. Wait, is that? I think I know her. Smolders, I need you to step off. I don't applaud her lack of punctuality, but she certainly knows how to make an entrance. I wonder who she might be. The dress is cool. Sophia deserves it. Yeah. I don't think punctuality is among the top qualities expected from a future queen. What about stunning looks? Not a prerequisite, but then again, neither is courage, and this one clearly has plenty of both. Watch out, my prince. She's coming. Good evening, your highness, and you too, captain. Good evening, my lady. Now, if you'll please excuse me, my prince. Jeffrey says, let's ignore both of them and go straight to the buffet. Yeah, I hear they have really bland rolls. We might really get to enjoy something. Good evening, my lady. I've noticed you've only just arrived. I hope you're not offended by my late arrival, Prince. These halls are so magnificent and tastefully arranged, it would be a crime to disrupt their harmony by careless attire. Not at all, my lady. It often takes an outsider's perspective to make us realize the beauty we've grown accustomed to. Open bar. That's the move. We just get like really sloppy off the wine. DJ says, I bet it's top shelf. Jeffrey says, the wine tastes funny according to Sophia. Yeah, I think that was a poison joke, so. I agree. From my experience, people tend to use beauty as a mask for pain. I guess fine halls are no exception. Neither is exquisite wardrobe. Look around you, my lady, the people you see, beautifully dressed and smiling radiantly. Do you think they're happy? They remind me too much of my own family for me to risk claiming they're happy. Who would have suspected such a young and serene woman to have such painful experiences? Okay, so I do just want to point out, whenever the prince makes this particular face, those eyebrows are, like, very differently shaped than they are the rest of the time. It kind of distracts me a little bit. It's like, I'm not entirely sure what facial expression that's supposed to be. It looks like, I mean, I guess it's good in that it's ambiguous enough to be a couple different facial expressions, which is great if you want to reuse the asset in different circumstances. But it does, like, yeah, it looks mischievous or something. I don't know. Cinders says, now who would have suspected it from a prince? One would rather imagine him to lead a life of bliss. A sharp remark. Indeed, it can be blissful as long as it is ignorant. In truth, a monarch is a servant as much as a ruler. Crane says, the shadows is a nice way to express that there are people around. Yeah, we've been talking about those a lot. I really like them because they do have this kind of like, there's a crowd of people around you, there's symbolic representation in that, but also the fact that they feel kind of ghost-like kind of adds a little bit of like a creepy vibe to all of this that I'm really digging. It actually really reminds me, or it's haunted as fuck, yeah. It actually reminds me of an interactive theater production that I saw called Sleep No More, where the premise is basically that there are actors moving through several rooms and the audience can free-flowing kind of like move around as well, but they're all wearing these ghostly masks. And so with the lighting being really dark and creepy, you end up it ends up kind of looking like there are a bunch of ghosts following the actors everywhere they go, but it's the audience. And so like this kind of has a similar vibe to that, and I don't know, I kind of really like that. A crown or not, a king is just a man. This dialogue, equally dependent on circumstances and others' expectations like the rest of us. It raises an interesting question. Since the king and a commoner differ so slightly, shouldn't the people be allowed to rule themselves? Oh, Cinders. Getting all political. I see you're quite the revolutionary. Do you secretly hope to overthrow me? Why no, there's nothing secret about it. All right. Besides, rumor has it your highness is planning a revolution of sorts himself. I must admit, you're an intriguing woman, my lady. Very different from the rest of the people who came here today. They don't seem to be even slightly bothered by the masks they have to wear. I wonder if it's so because they wear them every single day as well. But you're different. You may be wearing a mask, but you speak to me plainly and honestly, risking being misunderstood or simply rejected. Do you think this game would really benefit from voice acting? I think it would really benefit from me, like somebody not me reading it, for sure. So I think yes and no, Crane. What I've been saying throughout is that I think this game would benefit a lot from stronger editing. The writing in the game really is struggling, and one thing is actually that I think having to voice this game would make some of the places where it needed a strong editing pass would make them stand out a lot more, and I think in that way, yes. I do think it could benefit from voice acting, but I also think if it had voice acting, it would, yeah, expose it, exactly. I think it would feel more passive than it already is, because like it's a pretty like passive experience. So it's a visual novel that came out in 2012, and it just has way fewer choices than we've sort of come to expect from the genre in the time since then. So yeah, I'm a little torn on that, but at the same time, if they could get it up to like a, you know, a higher quality or fidelity, then maybe the passive experience also would be great. So yeah, I'm not sure. Not so many nexus of choices and stuff. Yeah, really not
DJ, you're here for the voice acting. I appreciate you saying that. I am absolutely not an actress, like, by any stretch. It is probably one of my weakest things of, like, any creative thing I do. Decaf Jedi says, I feel like too much dialogue is one of the easiest traps for narrative games to fall into. Certainly it's an issue with any game I've written for. Oh, Decaf. I didn't know you wrote for games. Yeah, it definitely is. I have been saying over and over, this game just needs like 30% of the words cut out. A few amateur adventure games. Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, like this game just needed a hard editing past like Murder Your Darlings level editing stuff. I wonder if it's padded because they were trying to get like the playtime up, but like seriously, this game just has way too many words. And as I've been saying throughout, it's written kind of almost like stream of consciousness style writing instead of being written as like character beats that are sort of changing how the audience feels throughout the scene. So yeah, and there's so much telling rather than showing. And I mean, even recognizing that it's a visual novel, so you have to convey more things in dialogue than you can show on screen, there still are ways to do that in dialogue that are less on the nose than, you know, just like expo dumping. So yeah. Yeah, it really jumped out the first time I heard my dialogue voice. So many words. Yep. You gotta read your dialogue out loud because there are just certain ways that are really awkward to speak. And they absolutely come out as soon as your dialogue is voiced. Yeah, Decaf Jedi says, in my case, I was basically my own editor, which was probably mistake number one. Yeah, I mean, you know, external editors are always a good thing. Sometimes we have to be our own editor, but yeah, always better when you can get someone else to do it. I can appreciate that, even if you did leave me a bit flabbergasted. You judged me very quickly, Prince. I could be many things, none of which I appear at this moment. That's actually, I think, the first, like, meta nudge, wink, wink we've gotten this stream. At the beginning, there were a ton of meta references. And that one was, like, subtle enough that I'm actually okay with it. We had some really on-the-nose ones about fairy tales and princesses at the beginning, so... During the last few days, I've learned that people are as complex as their motivations and agendas, and more importantly, we're all products of circumstances and surroundings. It would be easier to simply summarize others at first glance, have their actions justified with a simple because, but it would be false as we can never really grasp what is inside them. I must admit, I find the dictum terrifying, that all of us are merely actors on some stage set out for us. Be it others or fate, being determined by things we can't control is frightening. I know it all too well. You speak of your family? I have no idea what she's talking about. I am. I'm glad they told us. It is a delight story, Your Highness. Definitely not a topic for polite and charming conversation to make the time pass more pleasantly. I would like to hear about it nevertheless, if I'm not asking for too much. Please, tell me about your family, my lady. How could I refuse you, my prince? Yeah, I do kind of keep coming back to like, wait, why are we at the ball? We made a plan to run away. Why aren't we just running? Okay. How could I refuse you, my prince? Well, my mother died bringing me into this world. My father eventually remarried a woman who already had 2 daughters. He died so soon after that. Okay, so this I think is what, like the 3rd time we're telling our story of our parents to somebody in this world. I feel like each time we go through the same set of facts, I sort of wish that it was bringing more to it. Like I think there's a way to do that where each time you tell the story, you're adding a bit of information or a bit of context that changes the audience's interpretation. Whereas like this is just a straight retelling that like truly at this point, this is the 3rd time the audience has heard this. That is strange. I've never heard of a noble house with 3 daughters and no father. I recall one family of a widow and 2 daughters, though. Because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity ball, I see. Stepmother doesn't see me as one of her daughters. She allows me to stay at her house under one condition. I work as a servant for bed and board. Those who are familiar with the family know of my existence. As for others, I wouldn't be surprised if she told everyone she has 2 daughters and that is that. That's unbelievable. I did warn you about this topic. This isn't very entertaining. No, I'm glad you've told me about it. It showed me how ignorant I still am, how little I know about my own realm. Well, in that case, I'm glad you asked me about my life. Look at me babbling like a lunatic. You must be wondering what happened to royal manners. I forced you to speak about things which you must find painful during a ball. When we were supposed to be taking our minds off unpleasant things. Please allow me to make amends. Would you do me the honor? Oh, I'm not really a dancer. Don't worry, my lady. I will show you. Oh my. He looks so different here. Those eyebrows, though. Karana, hi, welcome. Just arrived. Love the rainbow effect for the text unrolling. I also really like that. And you came in right as we had like this very sudden moment of we've been having this back and forth with the prince and telling him all of our deep family pain, and now very suddenly we are embracing to dance. Official Crane says, our group is dubbing the old PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy games, and the voice acting really helps us at least point out parts in the dialogue that is jarring, or if we can just remove pointless dialogue. Yeah, that's awesome. I came back right at the very moment. You sure did, NBA Dag. Yeah, that change in face, though. His lips got bigger, too? Is that just me? He definitely got a lot more pretty. More emphasis on the cheekbones and the lips. Super eyebrows. You're doing fine, my lady. It's his final form. It is. Fabiofication. I love it. He's a profile model. He totally is. Now we're close enough to stab him. We slit his throat. Jeez, Jeffrey. We're just trying to run away. We don't actually have to kill the prince. Okay. I love it. So where's Smolders during this? Is he like upset watching this? He just makes to make sure all the interviews get his good side. Guys, I can't breathe. Just noticing opportunities. Seriously, I can't breathe. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay. Ooh, okay. Alright. This isn't as difficult as I expected. Not that I expected to be dancing with you, my prince. And yet, here we are. It feels very natural, too. Who knows? Maybe it was fate that brought the two of us together. Fate? And what is it that really brought me here tonight? Do you truly believe it was some mystical force? I mean, it wasn't not a mystical force. I can imagine getting here must have been difficult for you, considering your situation. To put it mildly, yes. But I wouldn't call it fate, my prince. To the contrary, if it was up to fate, I'd be cleaning the dishes this very moment. No, your highness, the only reason I'm here is because I do not believe any force other than my own ability to influence the world around me. Dang. She's just like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't need any help. I did this all myself. Sus. I choose to shape my life in any way that I can and take responsibility for the consequences of my actions. Having it any other way is cowardice. Matawi, hi, good to see you. Meritocracy, yo. Oh my god, Karana, it is though. It is though. She's channeling Geed, but we know it's a lie. Yep. A commendable attitude, my lady. This may not be the wisest thing to say at the moment, but I'll say it anyway. I consider myself lucky to have met you tonight, my lady. Luck or not, I'm glad as well. Very glad to be here with you, Prince. Have I complimented your eyes already? Oh, gross. Okay, come now. Strange. I can't seem to remember. Neither can I. Let's assume you haven't. I can't get enough of looking into them. They have this amazing dancing sparks inside them. They suit you more than well. They speak of wit and intelligence. Oh, sorry. Now I'm sure you haven't complimented my eyes. Please, do continue. What else do you find attractive? Oh gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm struggling here. Yeah. Thank you so much for hosting, Crane. You're wonderful. Okay. I will then. I adore watching your lips as well. They move so gracefully when you speak, as if conveying a promise. And what promise have you read from them? Oh man. See, like, all of this feels so contrary to how I've been trying to roleplay this character. We'll talk about that a little bit after this scene, but, like, yeah, one of the difficulties with not offering very many reflective choices is that, like, if this game were giving me sort of opt-out choices throughout this, we'd be skipping all of this, because this just feels so contrived and just in a very opposite direction from, like, where we've been trying to take the character. Biostats just says this is bad with a hard stop on the end. I hope this is all leading up to a sick burn. Yeah, I hope that too, but I don't think that's where we're going. Skip the neck, Prince. What about my chest? Excuse me? What? We're in a room full of people, right? Chest is not the word I'd use. What? And what word would you prefer? Yes, please do tell. I think we should get to know each other better before we switch to more colloquial vernacular. I'd love to get to know you better, milady. You'll have your chance, my prince, if you're persistent enough. Hi, Farah. Yes, yes. If you're persistent enough and constant in your ambition. Okay. In the days when chest was considered colloquial vernacular, I know. But we tend to undervalue things we achieve effortlessly. Let me give you an obstacle, my prince. You may thank me later. You really are incredible, my lady. And you wouldn't have it any other way, my lord. Good night, and thank you for this unforgettable evening. We did not have a single choice as a player during that entire scene. Like, that whole scene, we sat there, we clicked through a bunch of dialogue with each sister individually, and then the back and forth with the family each time we came back, and then we went through the entire scene with the prince and literally did not had a single choice. Biostats says I'd bounce off this game so hard. I don't know, Biostats, you're here because you're invested. And I think the game's almost over. Mother, is that? Well, I'll be Cinders, Carmosa, girls. Are you enjoying the ball? I certainly am. Dang, we just went like full bitch mode. Brazen little brat, how dare you come here, show off in front of the prince like some harlot, steal his attention away from my daughters. Oh, really? Because the girls were doing so well on their own. Oh, I'm invested too, but that was some great AAA top shelf cringe. It was. It absolutely was. You know, I think it's always easier to be charming and make a good impression on people when you're relaxed and confident about what you're doing. I came here out of my own will, Carmosa, while your poor daughters only came because they either fear or don't want to disappoint you. They came because they knew it's important. They came because you put the weight of your sick ambition on their shoulders and whipped them to make them go faster. The fact that you can't see your mistakes makes your failure all the more tragic. Perhaps I was mistaken? Wait, what? Is she reversing? Cinders, you really were amazing. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Thanks. She's like, thanks. So what are you going to do now? Got any more surprises for the evening? If you do, then please warn us in advance, or someone may have a heart attack. Surprises? What do you expect me to do? I'll just head back home. I got what I wanted, right? Unclear. Not clear why we're here, to be honest. Not really framed as part of the story. Really no idea what we're doing at this ball at all. How about choices that are just arbitrary? Might be more fun, right? Picking between being rude or polite but not having any real consequence might give this game at least the illusion of choice. Yes. So actually, this is a good place to stop and talk about choice for a minute. So this game came out before like choice-based games had really come into their own, and certainly before a lot of the writing and crit around choice-based games had come out. So since then, we have had a lot of writing that has kind of categorized different kinds of choices and how different kinds of choices affect, how players feel as they're playing. What I think would have been really amazing in this game is just more sort of like roleplay choice. So Telltale games, for example, are very focused on designing for the moment you make the choice. And so they do a lot to kind of frame the moment leading up to the choice so that when the player has the choice sitting in front of them, they know what the impacts of the choices are, and more importantly, some stakes have been set down so that there's some kind of like weight or impact behind the choices. This game, by contrast, seems very focused on only using choices when they're there to change further state of the game down the line. But a lot of the times the choices in this game have not been set up at all. We definitely had like no real stakes or understanding of like even necessarily which choice we're making or why we might want to make one choice over another. What I think I would do if I were editing this game or like writing the choice space for it, I think that some of the payoffs and where they want to go with the choices are great, but there's not any framing at the point where you're making the choice to tell you that. And a lot of the times, like, there's no real stakes at the moment you make the choice, so you don't really understand, what's at stake down the line. You're like, oh, do I befriend this guy? I don't know, maybe. Like, and even some of like the subtle dialogue choices, it's not really clear through character voice, like, oh, is that me being mean to this character or me befriending them or whatever. So I think I would probably make that a little bit more explicit. And then I also would add, smaller, what we would call reflective choices throughout, which are choices that don't change the game state, but they do give the player the sense that they're able to roleplay a character in a particular direction. And I would offer more like opt-out choices where, like, if we indicate to the game that we're not interested in romancing the prince, we just don't see any of that content. We just like skip over it. It kind of feels like the entire ball scene probably could have been that, and we could have instead just gotten like a quick seeing the ball from afar sort of scene. So yeah, that's probably what I would do. It definitely just needs more choice in general, though, because like I'm not really connecting with Cinders as a protagonist at all. Excuse me. I'm connecting more with Sophia than I am with any other character. So it's the opposite of my statement earlier. The choices are meaningful and consequential, but because we don't know what the choice actually entail, they feel arbitrary despite being the contrary. Exactly. More choice or more consequential choice? I actually think that this game needs better framing of choices and more choices that don't have consequence. Like maybe they have a feedback up, like, a slightly different feedback, or they opt out of certain things. But yeah, like these choices seem very focused on consequence, which in terms of player agency actually matters very little. So one of the arguments that I make in my dissertation is, like, in game studies, we think of agency as occurring when basically two different types of affordances are in balance. So we have what we call formal affordances, which are basically like, what is the game telling you should want to do next? And then we have material affordances, which are, what does the game actually allow you to do? And so if those two things are in balance, and what the game tells you should want to do next is an option for a thing you want to do, and you can choose among things, then you have agency. And if one of those is out of balance with the other, then it undermines agency. So what's happening in this game is that the system is actually supporting branching and consequential choices, but it's not giving us formal affordances. It's not framing in any way why we might want to make one choice over another. So yeah, it's like the game's just kind of like, well, what do you want to do? We'll support it. And it's like, but it doesn't actually. So yeah, like that's basically what's going on with this. And in order for agency to be maintained, like the loop that has to happen basically is the game has to offer you a formal affordance. It has to offer you like some leading of what you want to do as a player, right? And then it needs to give you the option to actually do that. And so you make that choice, and then it needs to give you feedback that you were heard, basically. And so, and then whatever happens down the line as a consequence, that's kind of just like a nice payoff, but that doesn't matter as much as the feedback that like, okay, we heard you. And so this game is very light on the, okay, we heard you sort of feedback, and it's very light on formal affordances, so it doesn't actually like draw you anywhere. So it just kind of presents choices that end up feeling arbitrary. I see. The point I was thinking is that there's also a design choice for giving the player a few consequential choices as well as an aesthetic, or is high agency always necessary? So I don't think more choices necessarily equates to higher agency, but I think that it does allow, if done well, it allows for players to roleplay in a particular direction. And it kind of feels like the game wants us to roleplay, but it's not actually giving us the tools to do that. And so that's kind of those affordances being balanced in the opposite direction, where it's sort of saying like, hey, you should want to roleplay, but we're not actually going to give you the tools to do that. So like that's why I say I think more choices would actually be like filling in a missing piece in that direction. So yeah, we made a choice earlier that after the ball, Madame Guide was going to basically help us run away from our life. I haven't seen enough of the game. If the game wants you to roleplay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You talk about this as if you defended a PhD on it. Yeah, I kind of did. So yeah, it's at some point, if the stream is actually interested in that, I could do an entire stream where I just kind of talk about choice spaces and the sorts of things that I talk about in my dissertation. Because my dissertation was basically on like, okay, here's what people who have studied agency, here's what we sort of know about agency in games. And then my dissertation talks a lot about like, well, what can the game do to sort of like respond to the player to help foster and reinforce that agency. And then some technical stuff that like new systems can do to do that with AI. But yeah, so I'm always down to rant about agency. There's like layers of agency, and like, yeah, lots of things to get into there for sure. But I think this particular game is a really good example of what happens when you're focused on consequence rather than focusing on the moment you make the choice. You'd be interested in that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can totally do that sometime. I might even have like slides from my PhD defense and stuff. I could like give an internet talk about such a thing. But we'll see. I don't want to commit to anything that feels too much like work at the moment. Ooh, please. Okay. Yeah, sometime. Okay. Wine and PhD night? Yeah, that would be the way to do it for sure. I guess we could do the next time we do like a Friday happy hour. We can do some wine and PhD things. I think I'm probably like far enough out of burnout land that I can probably do that and not be like a weird goblin person about it for sure. But yeah. What's she doing? She's kneeling. Oh, no, she took off her high heels. I see. I was just gonna say, are you far enough away from it? We don't want to send you spiraling. No, I'm okay. I mean, and you know, like, I have boundaries too. Like, if we get to a point where I'm like, whoa, I don't know, guys, maybe let's talk about something else, then we can. But I think it'll be fine. Like I said, I think the line for me on that is like I don't think I would want to prepare new materials or new research or something, but I can totally like show some stuff that I already have. I mean, yeah, I've got slides and things from defending the PhD that have some depictions of things, so we can totally talk about that. But it will not be like a polished lecture sort of situation. It'll be a let's drink wine and talk about choices sort of situation. So yeah. Okay, so Cinders has taken off her heels. Oh, absolutely don't want to add more work for yourself, but if you're comfortable, I just really enjoy hearing you talk about all that stuff. Yeah, for sure. Always really enlightening. Thank you, NBA Dag, that's really kind. I have an audio cassette of me defending my dissertation, and I'm so glad I have no way to listen to it. Oh, yeah, Decaf Jedi, they did actually record my defense. So somewhere there exists a recording of it. I have not watched it. I don't think I want to. That, for me, like, the grief is still too near on that, for sure. Like, yeah. I do enjoy the way you're doing right now, going off on critical tangents while playing some games. Yeah, that's the stream, you know? Like, that's, when we started the Scholars Play stream, that was definitely how it started, and that was interesting because we had scholars from like a bunch of different game studies approaches. So I was kind of like the narrative person, and then we had a sound person and somebody who's a mathematician, and just people kind of like talking about games from different angles while playing. I'm 15 years out and it's still too soon. Yeah, that's good to hear, Decaf Jedi. I'm sorry that it's still too soon, 15 years out, but it's reassuring that like I definitely get a little in my head sometimes about you know, I'm like, man, that was 2 months ago now. I should be better, and I'm getting better, but definitely still dealing with some burnout, weird brain stuff for sure. Oh, I'm really glad you learned a lot. That means a lot to me. That's what it's all about for me. So that's rad. Okay, I want to finish this game, and we can totally sit and chat about agency after we finish. I particularly find a lot of the decision space talk interesting because I'm sometimes a board game designer, and there are a lot of psychological and behavioral parallels that I hope I can put to use someday. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, we do need to get together about board games at some point, NBA DAG, and I really would be really interested in like what kinds of narrative design things you're thinking about in regards to designing board games. Because for me, like narrative board game design and procedural narrative design really do share a lot of things in common. So that would be super interesting for sure. Take care, ladies, Cinders says. And there she went. Well, I'd say this has been an entertaining and very educational experience. What do you think, Gloria? Yes. Hard stop. I think I did learn something about myself. All of us, actually. Would you agree, Mother? A mistake. Looks like someone has just been hit with a revelation. Too bad it wasn't sooner. Good evening, Lady Carmosa. Ladies, I'm looking for Cinders. Do you know where I could find her? I'm sorry, his belts are just so out of control. Milady? Cinders is not here, Captain. Could you tell us why you're looking for her? Royal Artist. The prince would like to have a word with her. Cinders has just left, Captain. She seemed in a hurry, too, as if trying to get back home before midnight. That's a lot of belts, it is. It's a lot of belts. All right, well, we had to have one classic Cinderella reference. He has belts on his hands, too. He does, yeah. Just an unnecessary number of belts. Funny, since Mother's here, and she wasn't supposed to be here at all, it isn't like she needs to make it before curfew or anything. If that lovely dress was as terrible as her shoes, maybe she just wants to get back home and take it off as soon as possible. Her shoes? Yes, slippers. Very original design, too. She said they were awfully uncomfortable and then threw one over a wall. What? The other one is still here on the ground. Slippers. We did what? Yeah, we threw a slipper over a wall, as you do. I still can't believe she did it. I would never suspect, of course, because everyone's as dim-witted as you are and never does anything out of the ordinary or unexpected. He does, Crane. Oh yes, I'm sure you were able to foresee this precisely as it happened. Did you see it in tea leaves or read in a children's book one afternoon while avoiding work and being useless as usual? I did entertain the thought she might try to pull something off, if you must know, but believe what you want, I don't care. I too suspected she might try something unthinkable. She was so secretive and compliant at times. I suppose it could point to an inevitable explosion. Buckles von Hairspray. Stop. Oh my god. I just didn't expect she had it in her. Gloria, please, sometimes you sound like a cliche villain from a bad romance novel. We really could have a drinking game every time they mention characters in novels. Gee, get me some cigs, boy. For Walio. Of course, something's not twisted, weird, or shocking. You wouldn't consider it honest. Not everyone is like you, Sophia. Fortunately so. Just like not everyone tries to be a mirror image of their mother down to mimicking her manner of speech. But you're not Carmosa, remember? You do not lead, you follow, mindlessly. Shut up, you. Dang, he's really coming at that door. Open up in the name of the prince. It's him. Why did he have to come in the middle of the night? Well, the wonders never cease, just like your ridiculous cliche impersonations. Man, really throwing around the word cliche a lot. There's no time for this now. I'm sure Mother will deal with you later. I'll go summon her. You do that. Open up. I won't repeat myself. Mother. Sophia, don't stand like that. Open the door. Let this noisy man in. Yes, Mother. I think this was the opening scene, actually. Captain, what brings you here at this time of night? Spare me these false pleasantries. You know I'm here. Where is she? Very well. Sophia, get Cinders here right away. Yes, Mother. Be quick about it, child. Captain, would you fancy some wine while we wait for my lazy stepdaughter? Don't push it. You know this is not a courtesy visit. I'm afraid a lot is going to change here tonight. I brought Cinders. Good evening, Captain. What a surprise to see you here. It shouldn't be. Were you present at the grand ball tonight? Now answer me honestly. Cinders? Yes. Yes, I was, Captain. Then I'm afraid I must arrest you. What? For? Bloody... I can't believe it. But why? She did nothing wrong. Attendance without a proper formal invitation is a serious breach of security and is considered an act of endangering the prince. Well, well. Attendance without a genuine invitation. Cinders, how could you have done such a thing? But I haven't done anything to endanger the prince. Surely you must take that into consideration when you decide my case. I don't know what your reasons were, but that is to come out during questioning. Royal justice has never been known for its soft approach to traitors, my dear. Lady Carmosa, please refrain from commenting. I would like to make this as easy as possible for everyone. Wait, we're still here. We are. Yeah, and apparently we're getting arrested now. You know what? We probably should have just taken off in the middle of the ball like we were trying to. Also, what was that nonsense with Madame Guide about, like, don't stay at the ball too late? We literally never even had a chance to leave. Like, as a player. That's so sad. I wasn't saying anything, you old hag, but Cinders, why did you do it? Breaking the law doesn't sound quite like you. I guess it's too late to wonder about that now, isn't it, Captain? I never could quite understand her, and now she's simply crossed the line. If you must take her, take her. Know that this house respects the royal law. Cinders, I'm going to arrest you now. Don't do anything stupid. I'll escort you from here and make sure everything is as it should be. You'll be fine, I promise. The slow paint there was good. You're very kind, Captain, but there's no need for that. She's accustomed to hard treatment, so she'll manage, and let us not forget she did endanger the prince. Yes, I can see what one may or may not be accustomed to here. Would anyone else like to try to tell me how to do my job? Good. Cinders, you ready? How could I be ready for my own arrest? But yes, do what you must. I get the feeling you might be the lucky one, Cinders, actually breaking free from all this family business. If the guard asks you whether you're ready to be arrested, I want to trade places with you. What? What a strange line. Sophia? Okay, sorry. Can we go now, Captain? In the name of the prince, I am arresting you. Now follow me. Good night, ladies. Captain. What's going to happen to her? It was so rash of her to break the law. Gloria, you're officially a cliche idiot. Seriously, is that 4? Besides, wasn't all that unusual? So I guess that's it. Do you know what to do next? What? Oh my god, get a thesaurus. He has belts on his legs too, he does. Do you know what to do next? What do you mean? I'm free? Of course. I was supposed to escort you to the crossroads safely, and from here on, you can travel wherever you want. You seem surprised. Of course I'm surprised. Just a short while ago, you were arresting me. I'm not being arrested. No, you're not. Did you honestly think I would arrest you? No, not Smolders. Smolders wouldn't arrest us. I've had my doubts. Something to do with you thumping against the door in the middle of the night, yelling something in the name of the prince. My duty ended when I legit read that as belts, because we've been talking about them. My duty ended when the bells struck midnight. I'm not arresting anyone in His Highness's name anymore. Yeah, we had to go to the ball so we'd have an excuse to escape our house. See, this all makes sense, doesn't it? But this is like case in point exactly what I'm talking about, where it's like, oh, this consequence makes things previously make sense, but it's not done in a way where it raises interesting questions like a mystery might, where we're sitting there trying to like come up with an answer. It just kind of is confusing. Retroactive sense, exactly. But again, not in the way like a murder mystery does, just kind of in the way a confusing plot does. I'm so sorry, don't be. You're free to go anywhere you want and follow your dreams. That's a good reason for joy. It is. However, it doesn't show because I was terrified out of my mind a few minutes ago. That actually worked to your advantage. Your terror made the arrest look much more genuine. That's true. I don't think anyone realized you were doing it for my benefit. Why are you helping me? Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful, just quite unexpected. Our mutual friend seemed rather insistent in that matter. You mean... I don't know how, but you've won Madame Guide over. She was quite intent on arranging your escape, precisely. Oh, it does make sense. But I'm surprised you agreed. Weren't you big on law and order? She's one person I can't say no to. I owe her way too much to refuse, even if the request did sound weird at best. And yeah, like, also, he's Madame Guide's ex, just to, like, throw a little bit more weird into the story. Besides, what use is law if it serves to make someone innocent unhappy? So, I've heard you're expecting someone. What do you mean? From what I understand, someone was to meet you here. You're not escaping to travel alone, are you? As a matter of fact, I am. Is there anything wrong with that? Oh, no, it's just that these roads aren't safe, and neither is what lies beyond them. That may be the case. So? Traveling alone, especially a young, pretty girl like you, that might not be such a good idea. I'm very grateful for what you've done. If it wasn't for you, Carmosa would surely find a way to hunt me down and stop me. But I've made my decision, if you say so. Are you sure? Absolutely, yes. You consider it in terms of danger and loneliness, and who knows, maybe you're right. But for me, it is a marvelous possibility, a chance for a new life I've dreamed about and planned. How many people can just leave everything okay, we have a lot of words going on, still going. This is what I mean, that moment of even just who's going with you would have been another moment to at least make a choice as a player, that even if that choice was not paid off or there were not enough, like, things that I had done previously to justify whatever choice I wanted to make, it just feels so strange to sit there and be like, I've made my choice as a protagonist when you haven't actually given the player a choice. So that just feels really strange. I can be whoever I want and lead a life of my own choosing. If that's not worth some risk, I don't know what is. But the life you speak of doesn't sound like an easy one. I do not seek the comfort of happily ever after, but I would hate myself if I didn't even try. Brave words for someone so young, and I can't deny I can relate to them. I wish you luck then. I hope you get what you wish for. I already did. And it can only be better from now on. So farewell, and good luck to you too, my dear captain. I am off to grab the adventure that lies just around the corner. That felt like the end of the game. I'm very confused. All right. Madam Gede says, "It's you. What do you want?" Charming as usual, love. Never big on those social niceties. Guess I can't blame. What do you want? Me? Oh, you know me. I want nothing. I've everything I need, except some information about that pet project of yours, maybe. Listen to me, old man. I've no time to play your games. Ask me and be gone. Act 10. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. The girl, love. The little bird who wanted to fly free from her cage. Her? She's none of your business. I'd advise you to stay away from her. None of my business. Even after the small, if not crucial part I played in her personal drama. Even you must admit I was a bloody good supportive actor, huh? That's supporting, and yes, you had your part in all this. Alright, it doesn't really matter now anyway. If you must know, all is going well. I'll keep the word I gave to Cinders' mother and help her achieve the goal she chose for herself. Will you, Lev? That's a tad unlike the Gede I remember, bending this girl's path according to your own whim, playing her like she was your doll. Weren't you always the one with a mouthful of those nice words like independence? Not so big on practicing what you preach, though. Oh well, methinks it must be difficult to let people make up their own mind when there's so little time, and you're in a hurry to run, as usual, Aggie. I can see what you're trying to do here. It isn't working. I helped the girl with making her own decision. It is hers, as will be the consequences. So it feels like this scene is just like a really long way to sort of be like, and the end comes from the choices you made. Which I feel like even in 2012 was not a thing you had to like explicitly tell the player, especially since they've already added a UI element that like is kind of indicating when things are different. Some achievement that is. The girl's born pretty as a picture, smart as a demon, and protected by friends her mother made, and bounded by a dying wish. Now that she's a mighty fine start for being independent. Now that's a mighty fine start for being independent and making one's own decisions. Bitterness takes the better of you, old man. That it does, madam. That it does. Guess freedom ain't what it used to be, eh, love? Cinders broke from her stepmother's clutches and paved a new path for herself. Now she truly is free to do whatever she wishes with the rest of her life. In my book, that's a success. Now, you don't really believe she can keep up that stout pose for long, now do you? We both know what will happen when her crutches leave her. No Carmosa to blame and no mysterious friend to look up to. The bird will get swept up in the wind. But you fulfill the promise given to her mother, so your conscience is free. Begone, snake. I've had enough of your chatter. Oh, careful now, love. You don't make the same impression when your voice is all shaky. I must have hit a soft spot under this pretty armor, eh? I need to pack. I'll be leaving soon. Now let me be. Yes, run. Now show the strong and independent spirit you really are. You'll run out of cities one day. So that would have been an excellent time to reveal literally anything about the shady character. All right, we got an ending. Finding happiness and freedom in her own birthplace was not meant to be for Cinders. Sick of her life and her stepmother's games, she decided the only way to find peace is to escape the town and start her life over. Though her travels don't spare her hardships, she finds the sense of her newly found freedom invigorating and is ready to take whatever life throws at her. Not having any real friends, Cinders is forced to travel alone. She eventually joins a group of vagrants and lives a humble but free life. They wander from place to place, living on whatever the fate decides to grant them. She thinks of her old family sometimes, but receives no news about their circumstances. But she can't help but wonder what happened to Lady Carmosa and her daughters. These moments of nostalgia quickly pass, though, when she realizes that she lives a new life now, one that would be impossible if she decided to stay. Yeah, we're gonna quit to the menu. We have unlocked a new ending. We can view discovered endings in the rewards option. Cool. And just out of curiosity, how many different endings were there? Oh, that's cool that the dress changed. We're awarded with the ball dress. Nice, a little glass slipper. It's cool that the title screen is updating. I don't think that's a thing that I noticed previously. Okay. So... Alright, yeah, that's just the end again. Oh, that's cool. You can use this menu to review the endings you've discovered. Use the panel on the bottom to toggle between unlocked variants. Okay. So there are 2 variants of that, alone and with people, it looks like. All right, cool. There were locked endings we couldn't get on that playthrough. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So yeah, that definitely felt like a suboptimal ending, and certainly was not like an ending that it was kind of what we were going for, right? Like we were able to escape, but the writing on the ending was so like sort of punitive about that. Replayability, how would I rate that aspect? That's a complicated question. So there are a lot of things that go into replayability, and so one is how many alternatives there are to the kind of play that you had right now in substantially different ways. And that is actually kind of hard to assess. In some ways, it's doing a really great job of signaling that there is that there are other options that we didn't get. So that adds to the replayability. But a difficulty in that is that some of the other things that foster replayability for me are not there. So one element of that is how long a game is. This game was long enough with little agency that I would probably not want to replay it again. Like, I think, and granted, everything takes like double the time when I'm streaming because we stop and talk and whatever. But we're going on about like 8 hours to get through this game, which is a bit long for me for a game that I'm not like chomping at the bit to devour more of. There's a Dave Mamet quote that talks about how a writer's job is not to tell what happened, but to make the audience wonder what happens next. And for me, that's where this game kind of falls down. It seems like the game spends a lot of time telling me what happened and why it happened, but at no point do I find myself being like, ooh, what's gonna happen, you know? And so that comes from a bunch of things. Like, part of that is leaning into tropes a bit too much. Part of that is, I mean, it's Cinderella, so in some ways the plot is kind of skeletoned already, but if you look at some other interpretations, like Ever After, that's still really compelling in the moment because the characters are really interesting and there's like interesting dynamics between them, and it feels like this game wanted to be that and wanted to go there, but it doesn't do a good enough job of like raising questions as it goes, or like attaching narrative stakes to literally anything. So yeah, it's like there were actually some compelling characters. I think Sophia was a really interesting character, and I think they had some really good ideas with where they wanted Carmosa and the older sister, whose name I'm forgetting, where they wanted them to go. Like, there was like some interesting stuff there, but it and actually the choosing of the fairy godmother was a really cool twist. I really liked that a lot. But that's the thing, is that like when you have, you know, such a well-known story that you're starting with, you already are kind of starting with the ultimate question of, okay, how's this going to be different from classic Cinderella? So like there's already some interesting like meat there for building in questions and mystery and interest. And so I think that, coupled with just the lack of moments where players can actually make decisions, that like really, you know, hurt the game, I think. Like, for example, in that last scene where we're standing there talking to Smolders McBelts, like, that would have been a great opportunity for them to be like, you don't have anyone to go with you. And I could have said, oh, I want Sophia to go with me. And then that's a moment where like it created a narrative stake. It's like, oh, is Sophia gonna want to come with me? And I've told the game that's what I want. And so it feels like that's what this is missing. It's just missing like that back and forth element between like asking the player what they want and then actually paying that off. And it seems like instead they were really focused on, we have a bunch of different possible endings. How do we like get the player to choose one, which just isn't quite as interesting of an experience as you're experiencing it. I think big moments in this game, definitely for the ending, the game might have really benefited from having big splash art scenes just to break the monotony or whatnot. We're basically talking to a book. Yeah, and like I think it wanted to lean into that book aspect. And it's really beautiful in kind of like the lighting of the backgrounds, and like a couple of the character moments were very visually beautiful, especially with the creepy fae creatures. But like yeah, it did just feel like without more player choice, it's like one of the advantages that a visual novel or a game has over a book is that in a book, you have a lot of empathy for the protagonist because you're sort of, you know, involved in their interiority and their thoughts, but you don't have a sense of responsibility over what happens to them. Like at no point, if the protagonist does something really stupid, are you like, oh man, that's my fault. The protagonist just did something really stupid. Whereas in a visual novel, if you make a choice and then that doesn't work out very well for the protagonist, like there's some, you know, amount of guilt and accountability and things like that wrapped up in it. You feel responsibility for the protagonist. And the difficulty with this and the amount of agency it offered was that it didn't offer enough agency for me to feel that. So it led to a situation where I just felt very detached from the protagonist the whole time. And so then when it did present choices, like often I didn't have enough roleplay hooks to feel like I wanted to make any decisions that were counter to just what I, Stacy, want to do. So yeah, that just the framing of choices really kind of fell down for me in those aspects. All told, I think the core idea was a strong one and had some interesting ideas, but the execution is lacking. In the hands of a more experienced team, I think this could have been a solid game. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, this game, like, it's also very early in a genre of Western visual novels. So it's, you know, it's tough for me because I'm like, I want to cut it a little bit of slack because this came out like the year Telltale's Walking Dead came out, right? So like there were a lot of things that we really did not know. It was before choices in episodes. It was before even like games like Had a Full Boyfriend had come to America. So really what this game had for source material for how to do choice design was not a lot, right? Like they're even interactive fiction, like hypertext fiction previously, had not gotten to a place where it was kind of in interactive fiction in the sense that the player was playing as the protagonist in the same way that like parser-based IF had been before it. So yeah, so I feel like for its time, it probably was really interesting. And I am curious because, as Kineticord was mentioning in the last stream, this team did go on to do another game. Yeah, call me a little in trouble. There are a lot of really good visual novel games around Newgrounds. Yeah, I mean, so I wasn't particularly part of the visual novel scene on Newgrounds, so I can't really speak to that. But I can certainly trust your word on that. At least among like Western visual novels, I didn't know of a lot back in 2012, which, keeping in mind if it's released in 2012, that means they were probably developing it in 2011. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I knew about back then were, yeah, a bit more like in the interactive fiction community, in the parser-based IF community. Well, Ren'Py probably came out in, 2010 or something? So, yeah, I mean, there certainly was stuff. But I am curious because, yeah, Kineticon was saying that this team had another game after this that was supposed to be a lot stronger on agency stuff. In fairness, the game looks like it definitely had a nice look and mood. It certainly does. Like, the visuals have been fantastic. The sound design has been really good. The lighting has been just absolutely superb. And for me, lighting really makes a difference, especially on an indie game. And so I feel like there were some elements, especially in the art direction, that were really, really well done. It's a two-person team, you know, so so it goes. I'm impressed by the visuals of this as a graphic novel. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, I would be, yeah, two people. Yeah, or at least that was according to Kinetic. I haven't actually looked at the credits, but we should do that. Oh, nope. Okay, yeah, they have like a couple more. Yeah, so maybe maybe what Kinetic was saying was that those were like the key people or something. But yeah, small team. Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I definitely think the core idea is interesting. I like that just kind of like piecing off into the sunset alone even was an option. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't love the romantic options, but so it goes. I like that as a player I was able to opt out of them, which was good. And the game did seem to hear me on the like, yeah, super not interested in Tobias, because if you notice, we didn't have Tobias at all in like the last half of the game, which is pretty great. Yeah, I do wish for a game that is selling itself as giving you the opportunity to change the relationship, particularly with the women. I do wish for opportunities to have had a little bit more nuance, particularly between me and Sophia. There were certainly a couple of moments where I felt like the game really stepped on my agency there, where it was like, I felt like I was developing a good relationship with Sophia, and then you know, and then it would be like, oh, I've got to go to town today. And Sophie would be like, can I come? And my character's just like, no, without me as a player having an option at all. And that's such an easy workaround. Like, just say yes and then have some external force come in that prevents her from being able to go with you. Like, if you can't have her go because of budgetary constraints. So just things like that. I feel like there just weren't as many moments maybe where the player and the player's agency were front and center. So then the question is, what would we like to play next for Sunday Storytime? I definitely have some options, and some folks have pitched a few games that they want me to play. I don't want to play anything too long, and I do prefer indie games and games by small teams. So if folks have ideas for that sort of thing, I would absolutely love to hear some things that people would be interested in. For me to kind of like break down the narrative design and the story. So some of the things on the backlog right now, let me pull up the backlog and I can see that. Hi, yes, you're fine. You're fine. Let's see. Hey. Okay, off. Puppy recommends we play a game with Puppy. Yeah. I'm not sure how well it streams, but I would love to hear your thoughts on Kentucky Route Zero. Always a solid option. You know what, NBA Dag? There are archived streams of me streaming Acts 1 through 4 of Kentucky Route Zero, and I never played Act 5 because I love that game so much, I did not want it to end. So there are a couple of things we could do there. I could replay it, but I don't know actually if that would be as interesting. We could do watch parties of my previous analysis where I just cringe through it and then talk over myself. Or we could just jump right to Act 5 and I could play that. And the reason I don't think we're going to get more out of it, I streamed those kind of the first couple, I think I streamed back to back, but then I streamed them as they came out. It's my favorite game of all time. Yeah, it's a good one. So I thought I'd throw it out there. I played Act 5 and it's lovely. Yeah, so I would be down for either of those things. I actually kind of have a similar thing with Life is Strange. I streamed Acts 1 through 4 and did not stream Act 5. But yeah, and so with Kentucky Route Zero, I was actually like I streamed those while I was an academic, so I was a lot closer to a lot of the source material that they're drawing from when I streamed them. So I don't think, for example, that I would like catch more references now than I did then. But like, yeah, it's absolutely a thing we could do. But certainly something that I would recommend folks watch the previous streams, which is a little embarrassing because I think Kentucky Route Zero Act 1 is literally the first Cerebral Arcade stream, like the very first one. So it's also like a little bit embarrassing because I was a baby streamer and did not, yeah, the streams are less polished. Not that they're particularly polished now, but it was, first streams. So baby streamer. Yep, definitely. And like at a very different time in my life too. I mean, yeah, I think the first of those streams would have happened back in like 2016, maybe 2015, maybe. So yeah, very, very different. Yeah, let me see here. Okay, game backlog. Yeah, so some of the things on the list here. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of these I've ended up actually playing since I put them on the list, but some of them I still haven't. There are a lot of like small indie games like Coffee Talk or Eliza, which actually I've been meaning to get around to and haven't played yet. Telling Lies. I did a Scholars Play stream of her story, but I haven't actually played Telling Lies yet. Let's see. Yeah, there are a few just like random ones that I'm like looking at these, I'm like, I don't even know what this is now. Yeah, there are a couple of like Telltale-esque kind of games, like Call of Cthulhu or The Council, which I haven't played yet. And then yeah, kind of like all of the Life is Stranges as well. Since yeah, I could finish the first Life is Strange. That's actually one I wouldn't mind restreaming because I probably would have a lot more to say on that one now than the first time I streamed it. But also like all of the prequels and sequels I have not played, so that could be fun. Let's see. Yeah, Church in the Darkness and some of the ones by that studio also. Haven't played those. Yeah, a couple of the oh my gosh, what's that publishing company? I want to say Forgotten Traveler, but that's not right. It's something Traveler. Looking through my stream library for interesting stuff. Where the Water Tastes Like Wine is one I've always found interesting, but haven't played more than a few minutes of. Yeah, so Where the Water Tastes Like Wine is definitely interesting. I know so many people that worked on that game that might be a little awkward to critique well, but absolutely could. It's just kind of long. Like, it would be a lot of streams if we wanted to play through all of it. Coffee Talk is kind of a pleasant, cozy game. Yeah, that's cool. Pleasant and cozy, definitely I could get behind. I saw you as Life is Strange in your videos. Yeah, I have, like I was saying, I've done the first 4 episodes of Life is Strange, but none of the prequels or sequels, so those are definitely ones we could do. There's also a couple of like less narrative-y ones, but that have interesting narrative elements in their gameplay, so things like Wander Song could be interesting, but it's also a little bit on the longer side for what I normally play. Yeah, Beyond Eyes also is one I was really interested in, which is like a really beautiful visual metaphor for blindness that looked really interesting. Yeah, I think I have a Steam list also for games that looked interesting to stream. I see, yeah, that one is probably on the longer side, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Birdsong and Cat Lady also are like very indie kind of things. Dreamfall Chapters was one I had been thinking about as well. Shrouded Isle, which is by Kit Fox, and is more like on the strategy side of narrative, but like that alone I think could make it really interesting. Yeah, there's a few. But either way, I can definitely post about it and see if we come to a consensus. I am wondering, my question to you, chat, is how folks feel about, for example, like doing an Act 5 of something that there are previous streams on. Because, like, it's a little bit weird to, you know, since, like, a lot of folks were not following me back then, like, to have to go back and actually see those archives, or you know, are they popular enough games that people have played them up to that point? So that would be a question for y'all, like how you feel about that. I know I have like one friend in particular who is like very frustrated with me that I haven't finished the first Life is Strange game, so that's definitely a thing. But either way, what I'll do is I will post some ideas to the Twitter. So if you are not following Cerebral Arcade on Twitter, you should do that. And I will post a poll probably tomorrow and come up with something. And if I don't come up with something by next Sunday, then I'll just kind of randomly pick some cool, interesting interactive fiction stuff, and it'll probably be like really indie and weird. But if there are other things that you feel really passionately about and you want to see me play and analyze, let me know. So long as it is a released game, I do not want to play anything that is not released. So, yeah, let me know. Haven't been here for any of the previous streams. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, with that, I think we should look for somebody to raid. Let's see. Ooh, Cobra Commanda is online, and I love her. So let's go ahead and go give her some love. So she is an awesome streamer who streams a lot of retro stuff, particularly adventure games. I think we've rated her once before. So we'll go say hello, give her some love when we get there. And thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate it. You have been fantastic. And yeah, I will see you guys again next Sunday. I will also be streaming on Wednesday for Weird Game Wednesday, and we will continue Baba Is You, which has been a ton of fun. So yeah, if you haven't been around for the Baba streams, definitely jump in for those if you can. I need all of the help solving these puzzles that I can get, so it'll be lots of fun. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining, and I will see you over on Cobra Commanda. Bye.